Amir Jackson, founder, director, Nurture the Creative Mind, and creative at now, this is a good story, at Indie Ogden. So took that over not very long ago, and we'll dive into sort of what he's doing there and talk to Amir about being an artist and the art of being seen, which is cool. Amir Jackson, you know a little something about nonprofits and selling your vision to the people who need to hear it. How did you learn that?
I think that for me, the nonprofit world was happenstance. I was passionate about what, young people, inspiring young people, helping them develop some self-value based on my own backstory. And I started doing it. I started working with young people for those specific purposes. And then one day someone was like, hey, you need to start a nonprofit. And so I did. And to be honest with you, I'm still learning. I haven't really learned how to do that.
You didn't have all the answers?
No, I still don't know. And a lot of, I guess the knowledge that I have is based off of mistakes that I've made.
Oh, amen to that.
Oh,
yeah.
I got a quick question for you, kind of follow up to that. Try to take yourself back to before you started the nonprofit. What was your preconceived notions of nonprofits? What were your thoughts about how they ran, what they did better than for-profits, what they could do that for-profits couldn't? What were your thoughts on nonprofits?
I didn't know what a nonprofit was.
Fair.
I had no clue what a nonprofit was. I think that as I began to understand nonprofits, I can say that I thought nonprofits were like the United Way, churches, the Red Cross. I didn't recognize or realize how many organizations and were nonprofits, right? That's because I didn't have a business background. I didn't come from a business background family. I didn't have a business education. So for me, businesses made money. That was the purposes of businesses. And then anything else was just charity. And I didn't necessarily understand the business behind charity.
Well, some businesses don't even make money, but that's another story. Amir, what is your goal in life?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. My goal is to leave a positive legacy. I hope to live a life that I hope to live a life of meaning and prosperity. I hope to live a life that the message left behind is that you can do good, be a good person, and you can live well. I would like to be able to accomplish those things, that it's not an either or, that you aren't, either you make money or you do good. I would love to accomplish, in order to leave a legacy, I would have to accomplish that for myself. And so I hope that at some point in my life, I am able to accomplish that goal, and that be the legacy that I leave, so that other people want to do good in their community, knowing that they don't have to sacrifice living well to do so.
And so as you've come up with that goal, how it's gotten stronger, I'm sure that's changed through the years. But it feels very strong right now when you're saying it. So what directions have you changed to sort of to satisfy that goal? Like, what have you recently started to do differently? How are you doing the same things? Has it really changed all that much? Is it just a mental thing?
No, I think that, that's a really great question. I'm loving these questions, by the way, because it's forcing me to reflect, and it's also forcing me to be true and honest to some of the self-conversations that I've had over the last few months, maybe year. I would say that it is a mindset, but there are certainly changes that I'm adopting to support that mindset, and some of those changes are just understanding that I have value, and that I myself am not a charity, that I work for a charity, and I'm the director of a charitable organization, but I myself am not a charity.
I need that T-shirt. I am not a charity.
Yeah, and I think I've lived. I felt that I wasn't being true or authentic if I invited financial freedom into my life. A friend of mine, a mentor, an elder, she said, Amir, you have romanticized poverty, that you believe that by being poor, that makes you more authentic.
Was that tough to hear? I mean, that's a pretty real statement to you.
Yeah, this was some years ago. It was tough to hear, but to be honest with you, I already knew it. I understood it. So she wasn't telling me anything that I didn't know. She was just giving it to me straight.
Is that a coping mechanism?
What?
Is it settling with where you're at, sort of, like, well, you know what? I don't need all. I'm happy with what I have. Poverty is cool.
I think that if you there's a lot to that. I would say that the coping mechanism, possibly. I think that for me, it was I'm a director of a nonprofit organization that is intent on helping people, specifically young people, see their value. And I poured, and still do, poured myself into that. And the reason why is because I needed it myself, right? And by seeing these young people grow and believe in themselves, and not necessarily just be told that they were valuable, but for them to see it be demonstrated, was a way for me to feel fulfilled, right? And for me to find value. What I realized is that in order for me to actually live and be true to the mission completely, that I'm the missing piece. Like, I'm the last person to mentor. I'm the person that I need to now invert my intention to, so that I can become the symbol rather than the young people in our organization being it.
So I've always had respect for elders. I think they're pretty smart people, and I'm sure you do too. But what did the kids have? Like, they were teaching you stuff that you weren't getting from the adults in the room.
Purity. They had purity, and they had their kids give without necessarily expecting anything in return, right? So it's it's a safety. I don't feel used, by them, and so I think that it was just safety and comfort is what they had. Trust is what they had. And to be honest with you, like I mentioned briefly, there was a backstory, like working with kids. It's very kind of wild, man. And I think anybody who has children, have actually like children of their own, can kind of understand this. Raising your children in some ways and loving them and caring for them in some ways can be raising, loving, caring for the child in you. You know what I'm saying? So I think that the young people, what they gave me was an opportunity to heal the child within me.
When you hear people say, "Well, I don't want to have kids," what's your thoughts on that?
I think that if you don't want to have kids, don't have them.
Okay,
that's my thought.
I think it also goes both ways, and I think that all of the good that you're passing on to the kids, you're also passing on all the shit, all the things that you didn't deal with that now they're going to have to deal with at some point or another. That whole inner child thing, I feel very strongly about that and how true that is. These certain things that you don't check off as a child in some sort of healthy way, you most likely didn't get from your parents because they didn't get it from their parents, and they didn't get it from their parents, and it does continue and continue and continue. And so I think you can do both. I think you can inadvertently give your kids a lot more work to do, let's just say.
You're going to do both. Todd. You're going to do both. It's not a you may or it's possible, guaranteed fact. You're going to love them and you're going to give them some shit.
Well, my point is that I appreciate hearing a parent talk about that.
Yeah.
And not just blindly going into it, passing on their shit to their kids. And I think that happens. I think that we're in 2023. I think that hopefully 23, we're having more and more people give these things some thoughts, as far as just sort of blindly passing on some of those traits. Anyway, I appreciate you saying that.
Hey, thank you.
I wanted to pass on.
And kids these days are so smart. I don't know why I think every generation's smarter than the one before it, but they are good kids.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they're great. They're great kids. We had one of our kids, lied to us today. And so, when you say that right now, we're dealing with some other stuff. But
that never goes away, Amir. Okay, so we were talking before the podcast about, you're involved in quite a few things. And so I think I said, if you sit next to someone on the airplane and they ask you what you do for a living, how do you answer? But what I want to know personally is if you consider yourself an artist.
Absolutely.
Okay, why? Of what?
I'm going to say this. This is me owning my value. I think I am the greatest type of artist. I don't have a singular discipline. I approach life in an artistic way.
I mean, you were posting photos of chopping wood, which I respect and I love to do, but it's really hard work. And I'm like, he's an artist in all things. You're an artist in the way you stack the wood, for crying out loud. It looked nice.
Thank you, man. I just approach life. I believe, listen, the organization is called Nurture the Creative Mind for a reason. I believe in living your life creatively. And for a lot of reasons, health reasons. But I just believe that society is better because of creativity and creative-minded individuals. I have a quote hanging in our studio that states that if it were not for creativity, we would all still be dragging our knuckles. I believe that. I believe evolution is a creative mindset. And so I just live my life creatively and artistically. And if you were to ask me that question 5 years ago or 6 years ago, I would have told you no, because I didn't see myself as the best poet or the best painter. And because of that, those very specific definitions, I did not see myself as a creative person or an artist. That being said, I now understand after years of working with other people who don't necessarily define themselves in those very small boxes, but are some of the most creative people I know, that yes, I am an artist and I am a creative person for sure.
Well, it's like you said, Todd, it's 2023, and being a creative is a buzzword now. I make my life as a creative. I think it's been bastardized a little bit. I don't know if you can be a creative in a lot of different ways, I suppose. So,
yeah, absolutely.
It does mean something different, I think, to everybody. My time I spent at Weber working with art students, right? And so that was very focused. But to tell you the honest truth, I think the most satisfying part of being involved with that during those times I was there is everything that went along with focusing on being a creative. And that wasn't learning how to draw or paint or sculpture or any of that stuff. It was learning how to deal with problems and deal with difficult situations and learning how to zig and zag rather than just blindly going in this line because you're just so afraid to do anything else, or you want so badly to maintain the sameness in a world that is constantly not the same, right? And so we call them sort of soft skills, to some degree at a university. But to me, that, anybody that was going through the art programs, if they had that and if they could vocalize what that meant, then it was truly a useful experience being in school, right? And I think that that's what sets them up for, a career in the arts is great, but literally anything else that you have kind of that comes in front of you. And that's, to me, that's a creative too, And so I think it's a really loose definition, being an artist and creative, and they do throw around creative a lot. There's no question about it. But to me, it still means nothing but good. It just means that, we have another difficult situation that comes around, rather than getting stuck in this blackness of it, you're able to kind of look around that or try something new. Anyway, I think everybody's got their own definitions. I'll bet you have your own definition as well.
Well, I think everybody's creative somehow. Sometimes some people are creative in math, some people are creative in arts, some people are creative in the way they approach life. Some people are a lot of different creatives. Some people know how to express it, some people don't. But I believe that everyone has that creativity in them.
I agree 1,000%. And I think that this, I know that creative is a buzzword, but these kind of conversations are necessary because these kind of conversations that bring a universal thought process to creativity is what is going to help bring value to creativity. When I was in high school, I didn't take art classes, so I didn't consider myself an artist, right? I couldn't draw a portrait or I couldn't paint anything beautiful, so I didn't consider myself an artist. And I think there was a lot of people who fell into that same that same void, that same hole. And so these people end up becoming politicians. They end up becoming congressmen and others who, because they didn't take an art class, they don't necessarily see value in art, right? And so they take it out of schools. But if we would help them understand that they too are an artist, they too are a creative person, that they express themselves differently, maybe they would find value in creativity. We wouldn't have to actually prove it to them. It would be inherent within them. And so I think that these kind of conversations are very, very necessary for us to broaden the umbrellas so that we can actually bring larger value to what creativity is and being an artist is.
It's incredible how shallow and how short the definition of being an artist is. I mean, my whole life, anyone that has been sort of in that lane, in artist lane most of their life, right? How many times does it come up? I love what you do without knowing what I do. I couldn't draw a picture to save my life. I'm like, well, me neither. Like, I don't.
Sure.
But that has been, that's been my 50 years. That's been probably my parents. I mean, who knows how long ago this goes back? But this is a definition that is just, it's so wrong. It's just wrong.
I agree.
It's so. It really does need to be redefined, and it's amazing that it still applies.
When it's used, it's flippant, but really underneath the surface of that comment, it's true. In other words, I like basketball. It's the NBA playoffs right now, and people will say,
"Let's go Lakers! Let's go Lakers!"
Good luck, Amir. They'll say things like, so-and-so is an artist with the ball, but it's in passing, like it's a comment, but then they'll throw that out there, and I'm like, actually, he is an art. You know what I mean? Like that's that person's art, is that he's really good at it.
And can we just, that was a great point, Brandon, and can we just acknowledge that when we say that, we're saying that that person is special. They are unique. They stand out from the crowd. Anytime you use the word, that person's an artist when it comes to cooking. That person is an artist when it comes to landscaping. You're saying that this person is above everybody else. We understand that that word has like actual value. You are different, you're unique, and you are special.
I need to hear you say that like again and again, even as an adult, because it feels good to hear it. No, it genuinely does, because I immediately want to be humbling. It's like there's something about being an artist that also you sort of innately, I don't know. There's a lot of us that are quiet. Is that our
culture or something? What did we do? Where did we go wrong, Amir? Like, what did we do to where are we buying too much into like the poor artist, and we got to be the poor artist?
Yeah, I think that's a problem. I think that if that is how we view and categorize ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. Like. There's this title of poor starving
artist.
Yeah, that's it. Starving artist. Yeah.
Like, which is really wild. That means you are literally conditioning people that if you aren't starving, you're not actually an artist, right? Like, you're not a real artist. Real artists are broke. Real artists do it just for the art, the purpose of art. But
when Green Day makes the hit, and then they break out the mold, now they sold out.
They sold out. They're not an artist. They're not real anymore.
Not anymore.
But you make such a good point, because even working, at the art department, there is definitely the association, and I don't think for a second that every artist needs to go to an art school, but there is also that association made about an artist where, I'm self-made, I'm self-taught. You're not a real artist because you went to school. That you had those extra opportunities. You're not a real artist for going through those ways. I'm like, well, that's not right either.
Yeah, we do it to ourselves, basically, right? Like we're the gatekeepers. Artists are the gatekeepers to what is an artist or what isn't, and we are also the judge and jury, right? And so that means that, and I think kind of understanding that formula, there's a solution there. We have to start speaking differently about ourselves. We have to stop judging people based on some arbitrary definition that keeps us from embracing people outside of that space. We actually have control of redefining what an artist is, and then bringing value to a larger level.
This is a great conversation because I just keep getting these thoughts. It's funny how I think of it a little bit like a canary in the coal mine type of thing, where to some degree, because this is taking place right in the middle of the Nine Rails Creative District, and so this is a good example to me where there's certain people in the community that wants this canary and they want artists to go into the neighborhoods that I don't want to go into that neighborhood. I don't want to walk around. I don't want to live in this neighborhood, but artists will do it because it's a little more affordable. They're braver than the rest, which I'll be honest, artists are often braver than others. And so there is some value when you need that, when you need artists to move into a neighborhood, that let's call this a creative district. Who do we want in the neighborhood first? You want an artistic crowd. We want to define an area in that sort of capacity. And so there is value there until they get priced out. And that's
for sure.
That's
so, I mean, let's be very clear. Developers understand the value of artists.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
They understand.
We have partners with many.
Clear. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true.
Amir, how did you get to Ogden?
I was in the military. So I was stationed at Hill Air Force Base for 4 years. And then, I just stayed close after I got out, lived in Layton for a little bit. And then I went to Weber State. And, Ogden became home.
Well, we're lucky to have someone like you here because you take chances and you're not afraid to be you and to try new things. And that's there's a lot of people in this town. And so you're one of the few who started a nonprofit and have done other things on top of that. So, why did you feel that was necessary, and why did you stay here in Ogden?
I appreciate you saying that. I will say that I'm not sure that I'd be the person I am today if I had stayed home. If I had stayed back in New York.
Yeah, New York is home.
Yeah, Rochester. It's easy to take chances when no one has expectations of you. You know what I'm saying? Like in Utah, nobody knew who I was.
It's kind of nice sometimes.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Right? I was able to define myself, and I could redefine myself, right? And really, it wasn't a big deal. But back home, you have friends, you have family who they know you as a certain person. It would have been difficult. I'm not saying impossible, but it would have been difficult to take chances in New York. It was easy to take chances here. This was fertile ground for chances. So I appreciate the call out on bravery. I guess I can understand how it appears that way, but it really was easy. It was an easy thing to do for me. I just I didn't see it as a difficult road whatsoever. I just saw it as nothing but like a blank slate, and
opportunities.
Just a blank slate and fertile ground. That's how I looked at it.
You really get to dive into who you are on the inside because you're somewhere where nobody knows you, and you can just be you, which is nice.
For sure. Now, I will say that was 16, 17 years ago, at this point, if I were to...
we all know you now.
Yes. Now, if I were to redefine myself now, there does take a bit of courage to do that. And I will say that I am in a space currently where I'm redefining myself, and I love it. I think that it's going to it's going to be exciting.
But it's going to shake some things up.
100%. And it's going to be upsetting for some people. It's going to be exciting for others. And, I love the fact that I'm in a space that I don't care about either. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm doing what I believe in. And I'm doing something for me. And so this next iteration phase is certainly going to take some courage. But I'm very, very excited.
Bro, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Just that, I'm excited. Now, are you talking about indie?
No, I'm talking about life.
Okay.
I'm just
Professional breakdancing?
It's possible. Yo, I got
talking about beatboxing earlier. So.
Yo, I actually did have a dance group in high school. Though.
Oh,
I did.
Yeah,
100%.
I want those videos.
Yeah. I wish we had the camera phones back then.
Yeah.
I did I straight up Mrs. Wells' class, me and my friends.
Shout out to Miss Wells.
Mrs. Wells, she let us practice in her room, and we practiced to it was Jodeci, right?
Oh, we're getting sexy.
Yeah, it was real sexy. I'm telling you right now, it's not something that would be approved today. Right. Sincerely. But the B-boy thing.
Jodeci was the makeout music. Man.
Oh, forget about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, forget about it. It was a rap. You put Jodeci on. You already knew.
Oh, you already knew. Do you want to talk about indie or what you're doing there?
Yeah, I mean, I think that Indie Ogden has been a staple within the community for some time. I don't know exactly how long, 10, 12 years.
Michaela started it. About 2012, somewhere 14, somewhere around there, I think. I mean, she's been involved for a long time.
For sure. And what I love about Indie Ogden, because after Michaela, she started it, she put her personality into it, and then she passed it on to someone else. His name is Dan Matthews. And Dan took it another direction. And so I will say this straight up, outrightly, that right now I have it. But I think that there's been you own the brand. Yes.
Okay.
But I think it's important to state that because Michaela had it, she passed it on to someone else, right? She didn't let it just dissolve. Dan had it, and he passed it on to someone else, me. He didn't let it dissolve. And now I have it. There's a pattern and I believe a culture that's been created that Indie Ogden is a part of the community.
Yeah.
Right?
How would you define that culture?
The culture of what I experienced with Michaela and Dan is one of non-ownership. It's we have it for now, but it belongs to the community. So if we're not here, we're going to give it to someone in the community, or if we're not doing it, if you're not doing anything with it, we're going to pass it on. So I have a responsibility. I believe and I feel like I have a responsibility to own that as well. So if I move on from Indie Ogden, I'm going to pass it on to someone else and not give them a roadmap to what I expect them to do, but let them do what they want to do with it. And so what Indie Ogden has been is different than what it was 3 years ago. It's different now than it was ever. And I believe that it's just going to continue to evolve because it will always have someone else at the helm and that person putting their personality and identity onto it.
I find that fascinating, and I think that's awesome. One of the first things you're doing is it the art of being seen?
The art of being seen, yeah. The idea behind the art of being seen is that everybody wants to be seen. We all want to be valued. We all want to be validated. And this series is an opportunity for people to be seen. There's a right now we're doing candidates for mayor. I'm actually traveling to New York next week to film my grandmother telling stories of her childhood. and experiences that she had. So that's going to be an episode, and then we have an episode coming up in a few weeks. That is it's a really special episode, and I'm giving secret sauce here, and let it be known that if anybody else does this, listen, this was something that started here. Let it be known.
Like here, like on with you.
Period.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Okay. This is an episode where there's a mother-daughter, and the daughter is going to be interviewing. I have coached the daughter to interview her mother and ask her mother questions that she always wanted answers to. So you'll be able to, and so in that episode, the mother will be given a chance to be seen by her daughter, and her daughter will be given a chance to be seen by her mother. So this is really the core so it won't necessarily be the same each episode. Each episode will be different, but all of the episodes will be about the person being interviewed having an opportunity to be seen.
So video, audio, like what are you calling this?
It's going to, I don't necessarily know what to call it. It's going to be on social media. So it'll be on, Instagram, TikTok. Those are the easiest for me currently, with bandwidth. That being said, I do expect at some point we will expand to YouTube channel as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I was supposed to ask you how to make a living as an artist.
Yeah, man. Listen, we went down the path. We went down the path that was organic and authentic. I'll dig it.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all I got. Todd, you good?
I think the answer is that we're still figuring that out to some degree.
We are,
but we are certainly prioritizing that. I am. That's why I love talking to you about these things, because that's a big part of my new job is how to survive. Right now, I'm looking. It's funny because I've got some workshops coming up this next month that I'm going to do through the Salt Lake City Arts Council, and it's about how to survive as an artist, right? And this is where I feel comfortable saying that word survive right now. I was just going to say
survive's a rough word.
I would love to quickly change that survive to thrive, but I think that maybe right now where I'm at, where we're at, I think survive is probably a good word. But it also means that there is a lot that artists need to learn as well. And these are things that maybe we've picked up on, trial and error and bombed at, and writing a business plan. This is, finding funding. This is legal issues and being an artist, right? These are some of the topics that I've chosen. And I think that the list goes on and on and on. It is not easy to be a professional artist, and I think we all know that. I think that's why it's probably the most rewarding and the hardest job. It's got to be one of the hardest jobs. Like it's the persistence of being an artist is like, it's sometimes
it's grueling.
Grueling is a good word for it.
Yeah, but you love it. I love it.
Well, I think with a lot of artists, there's not necessarily anything else you could see yourself doing. I do love the fact that I'm going to quickly go back to what I said before, and that's the ability to zig or zag or to evolve or to roll with these punches and not do the same exact same thing again, right? And so I do know how to counter a no and how to skirt that and change that and go around that. And so the artist that I was is certainly different than the arts administrator I am now. I'm still an artist, but I have found a path where I can advocate for artists, and that's incredibly satisfying. That might even be more satisfying, and I can reach even more artists than just me. And of course, it heals my own inner artist child that we are all constantly trying to do as well. And so I think the more you help others, the more you help on yourself. We know that.
100%.
Yeah.
Doing for others is one of the most selfish things you can do.
I just discovered this new Finland comedian, and he's like, how come Americans never answer with like, yes, yes. They just say like things like percentages, like 100%. I'm all, well, that's true. I say it all the time.
Yeah.
100%.
100%.
1,000.
Amir, please allow me to summarize, and you can add, but I feel like the lesson here is for artists and becoming an artist is to please be confident in your value, and that artists are valued at a much higher level than I think the trending culture has portrayed it.
Yeah, 100%. I think that it's an artist. It starts with self-value. This is what I would say. If you are an artist and you are struggling with finding your pathway to financial happiness, start with establishing your own self-value. Start there. Go internally. It's not the external world, right? Because there are people out there that are asking for $50,000 for the thing that you just did for $500, right? So start internally, establish your value and believe it. I think that that's where it starts.
I love it so much.